Welcome to the Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins. Today is the day Kingdom Hearts fans have been waiting for. No, it's not Kingdom Hearts 3, but it is the closest thing we're gonna get for, well, God knows how long. Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue is finally out. So far, reviews for the semi-sequel, semi-prequel, semi-demo are coming in fairly well, with the game sporting an 80 on Metacritic at the time of writing, that is. The big draw of Kingdom Hearts 2.8, besides the whole HD remastered 3DS game Dream Drop Distance, is Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, which provides several new hours of gameplay and story, plus a preview of the technology and systems powering Kingdom Hearts 3 someday. Overall, reviewers felt that it's a sign of good things to come for the next game. Games Radar called it a promising start to the series' life on PS4. Of course, this won't help explain any of what the fuck is actually going on in the story, but hey, it's the first new Kingdom Hearts gameplay we've had in 5 years. If you're curious about it, we're doing a stream this afternoon and we're working on a timeline primer for you guys. I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of like strings connecting things. It looks like a conspiracy wall in here, but we'll get that out for you soon. So even if you're confused, no, you'll still be confused, but less so. It's fairly common knowledge amongst gamers that Sony is selling a ridiculous number of PS4s this generation, but a number that's actually a little bit crazier is the PS4's attach rate, or that is how many games each PS4 owner has on average. Video game business analyst Daniel Ahmad tweeted some numbers about the PS4's current attach rate, which is sitting at about 7.5. When you multiply that by the 50 million plus PS4s that have been sold to date, that's a whole lot of video games bought for the PS4. Just for a little bit of context, Ahmad also pointed out the attach rates of both PS2 and Wii when both of those consoles hit 50 million units sold. For the PS2, the attach rate was 6.2, and for the Wii, it was 7.1, which is actually kind of surprising because who knew there were that many games even worth buying on the Wii? It was probably a lot of families got stuck with shovelware for Christmas, and we're all very sorry for that. That's why they ended up like under shelves or whatever. Gear up, Dark Souls warriors! Bandai Namco has just announced the second and final piece of DLC for Dark Souls 3 titled The Ringed City. So, no, it did not end up being the City of the Dead, but it's still about a city. The DLC's new trailer shows off some of the locales you can expect to visit and die frequently in, as well as some of the bosses you can expect to fight and be killed by frequently. The Ringed City releases on March 28th and it'll be the last bit of DLC for the hack and slash, and considering some of the series creators Hidetaki Miyazaki's comments, might be the last bit of Dark Souls content, well, ever. So it'll be interesting to see how the DLC wraps up and whether or not it feels like a bit of a send-off to a series that everyone's loved or loved to hate over the last few years. Say goodbye to competitive teabagging. Yeah, it's gone. The infamous celebratory practice has now been banned from the Killer Instinct World Cup. The event's organizers made the announcement this week, which has caused a little bit of a stir amongst pro gamers in the fighting community. Apparently, part of the reasoning was because at last year's event, threats of real-world violence ensued after one player teabagged another in the game, that is, and the organizers want to keep this year's event safe and professional, which admittedly professional doesn't generally include teabagging. However, many players are criticizing the ban because, hey, teabagging it's all in good fun, right? With some saying that they're going to do it anyway regardless of the consequences. Others have argued that taunting opponents is an important psychology play in order to get under your opponent's skin. The Killer Instinct World Cup takes place in March, so still plenty of time to argue about where your fighters' balls can or cannot go. Assuming they have them. The developer of Yandere Simulator says he wants to make nice with Twitch since it's banned on that platform, but they won't even talk to him. The game, about a high school girl who murders her classmates, was banned from Twitch a year ago, but its developer says Twitch won't tell him why. In fact, they won't tell him anything. The developer, who goes by Yandere Dev, appropriately enough, points to other violent games like God of War that are allowed on Twitch and says he's willing to make changes. All of the content in Yandere Simulator can be found in other games that are allowed in Twitch, he said in a recent YouTube video. Yandere Simulator is definitely R-rated. Its protagonist murders her classmates, plus there are a ton of obscure shots, some nudity, lots of panties, nipples, genitalia. Well, those are actually covered or blurred out, but they're around, I guess. Even though it's not allowed on Twitch, the indie title's been super popular with over 1 million players, according to Kotaku. In his video, the game's developer says that Twitch's censorship should be a concern to all developers. If it can happen to me, it can happen to you too, he said. It's no surprise that Chapter 13 of Final Fantasy XV was, well, kind of controversial, to put it mildly. Towards the end of the game, Noctis is taken out of the game's bustling overworld and funneled into a series of dark corridors. A stark change in scenery that a lot of people, well, kind of hated. The weird shift in the game's tone, plus a bunch of reused assets, has led some to speculate that the chapter was tacked on at the last minute, but the game's director, Hajime Tabata, has refuted that, saying that the chapter was a deliberate decision from the development team. Still, Square has announced that an upcoming update will alter that chapter, due largely to negative player feedback. Tabata says, though, that the update won't change the overall feel of Chapter 13. He said the update will deliver a further enhanced gameplay experience, but we do not intend on making this a completely different game from what was already delivered to the players. So, yeah, we planned for Chapter 13 to suck all along, is the TLDR there, I guess. And now, we're gonna change it. Which, honestly, change it for the better? Good. Will The Last of Us Part 2 be as political as the first one? You can count on it, says series creator Neil Druckmann. He made the comments in response to a fan on Twitter who said that he loved the first game, but didn't like how political it felt, especially toward the end. The fan, who has since deleted his tweet, asked if the development team could avoid politics in the second game. Druckmann responded, "No can do. Writers work off of their views of the world. For example, the ending of The Last of Us is very much inspired by my personal politics." Well, I guess that's your answer. They do say write what you know, so it kind of makes sense. And really all art is political in a way because it is a reflection of the creator's views and world experience, so it kind of makes sense. But politics or not, if the sequel is as good as the first one, we're all in. If you're still confused about what Death Stranding means, don't feel bad. Nobody knows. The game's trailers have confused pretty much everyone, and they're apparently a mystery to Guillermo Del Toro too. Like others who appear as characters in the game, the famed director says he's on a need-to-know basis in terms of the game's overall vision. Ultimately, that's all up to Hideo Kojima. Del Toro said, "I'm involved as a character. He's discussed his ideas so I could understand the character, but other than that, I'm not involved creatively at all." Del Toro says he thinks it'll be a fantastic game, but it's ultimately all Kojima and his ideas. About the only thing we know for sure is that Death Stranding is coming out for PS4, but a release date hasn't been set. We can count on Mads Mikkelsen, naked Walking Dead dude, babies, you know, go for it. It's gonna be great. Those pesky hackers are at it again. What's their newest target? Is it Amazon, Facebook, Sony again? No, a bunch of libraries in St. Louis. Yeah, and a bunch of libraries were hit with ransomware, a nasty virus which locks down computers and attempts to extort money from the victims. The hackers demanded $35,000 to restore the system. Clearly they don't know what kind of budget libraries get. In all, about 700 computers that were hit across 16 public libraries in St. Louis. The attack has prevented library patrons from being able to check out or return books, although the libraries have remained open. The hackers demanded to be paid in bitcoins, but got turned down. Instead, the Public Library Authority says it's regained control of its servers and will wipe its entire system and rebuild it from scratch. But that will obviously take some time, and meanwhile, a bunch of people who depend on public libraries for their internet access, kind of out of luck. Maybe use your powers for good next time, hackers. Delete everyone's late fees instead. That'll show them. Alright, well that's all the news we have for you today. What do you think of all the updates? Let us know in the comments. And to make sure you get all the news from every corner of the internet, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the Know. And come play Kingdom Hearts with us today! Yeah, and I've got like one Siamese and one orange cat, so neither one of them are remotely friendly colors. Also, we would have been dealing with that, so.